SuperTalk Mississippi media production. Pike County, here comes your morning show. Dave in the morning on 93.5 FM, SuperTalk Mississippi.
So now, understand, you're not going to dictate to me what I do and what I don't do, but I'm still the mayor, Mr. Brown.
None of this meeting is recorded. None by any parties. Correct?
No, sir, mine is recorded. I'm being accused.
Any contact.
Said I want to make it on record. I want the allegations in writing, or the accused, or on recording of this harassment.
And now, here's your host, Dave Hughes.
Good morning to you. You warm? Your Tootsie's all toasty? It's actually not as cold as it was yesterday, if you ask me. We did have a freeze warning in effect. Just expired. Right now, though, 41 degrees, wind chill of 37. The wind died down. That will help. High today of 58 expected. I want to tell you, I was stunned. This morning I woke up, I looked out the kitchen window, and there was frost on the pumpkin. The reason why that was so stunning was the fact that I don't know where that pumpkin came from. The frost I was expecting. The pumpkin? No. Nothing like going to bed and you wake up the next morning and the pumpkin fairy came in November. I don't know what happened there, but here we are. No chance of precipitation through. Now, let me say this. I have the stupidest weather app ever bundled into a cell phone. It's not even close. And this thing, I woke up this morning to an alert. And it pops up little helpful things all the time. You know, rain expected to end soon. Rain starting in the next few hours, so forth and so on. This morning I woke up and it said at 6:30, snow expected to start soon. You think the pumpkin was a surprise? I looked at that and said no, and of course we had no snow. But north part of the state, they did get a couple of little flurries, and they got blizzard-like conditions in part of Tennessee. So it wasn't that far off. Northern Alabama, they had some decent snow. We were that close to having a completely different conversation this morning. But the good news is by tomorrow, we'll be back up in the mid-70s for a high. We'll keep it there all week long. In fact, by the end of the weekend, high temperature is going to be back up near 80. So I hope you enjoyed winter. We're done now. No, we're not done, but boy, it feels like it, doesn't it? It did get cold, though, as we expected. Oh, good grief. Mose, yeah, I saw that. As you know, Nancy Pelosi announced that she was retiring. I hesitate to use the word retiring because she's 85. If you're retiring at 85, you're a power-grabbing, money-hungry person. You have to go home eventually. Eventually doesn't mean 85 to me. But the announcement has come out that Christine Pelosi, Nancy's daughter, announced yesterday that she was running for the California State Senate. That's the family business. But let me ask you something. If you've got someone that stays in office until 85 years old, retires, and her daughter immediately enters in to work her way up to taking over that seat, what's the difference between that and having royalty? If you're in your position of leadership for life until you finally get too tired, or in the case of former President Biden, too addled to continue, and you're forced to go home, well, the next person in line of succession in your family just steps up and takes over. These are the people, keep in mind, that did the No Kings protest for the last few months. They don't want kings, but they act like they're royalty. This is where we're at. Tomorrow, they're expecting to vote to end the shutdown. And as I continued to listen, I was listening to Richard talking about the snarls with air traffic and how chaotic and ridiculous this has made air travel in the country. Two things there. Number one, this still does, it's an objective fact, air travel is in a mess right now in the United States as we inch closer and closer to Thanksgiving. But that does not contradict my point from yesterday, which is that I personally have yet to see a single impact from the shutdown of the government for 6 weeks. Last time I got on a plane was about 3 years ago. I don't do a lot of flying. So again, while this does affect people, it doesn't affect me. So going back to my personal standard, the one I think we all need to start leaning on, which is, what does this do to or for me? Not some nebulous group out there, not somebody else who might be having troubles. How does it affect me? And the answer to that question in regards to the federal government shutdown for me remains, it doesn't affect me at all. The mail still shows up, the lights turn on, the water's running, I'm still having to go to work, still having to pay my taxes, all the rest of the bills. I just think that everyone is kept so busy lamenting the problems of others that a majority of Americans don't realize, wait, this hasn't affected me at all. Oh, there's plenty of people that it's had some effect on, definitely. Federal employees, yes, I get it. Understand that fully. I'm not a federal employee. So again, on my rule of thumb, and before you say, well, yes, but you need to have empathy. Remember our talk from yesterday? Well, I don't remember the last time someone had empathy for me. That's a two-way street, and all the traffic seems to be going in one direction, and it's demanded to be going in one direction towards everyone else. There's got to be a little back and forth here. But that's not the way the left sees things. Even when we're broke, we better be giving. We better make sure other people are taken care of, even when we're broke. Which brings us neatly to the fact that yesterday afternoon we had a special call meeting of the Macomb City Board of Mayor and Selectmen, where after the executive session they had an announcement. Oh, there's been some, how should I put it, reaction online to one specific part of this announcement. And when we come back, I'll let you hear that announcement and the discussion from Horn. Horn had a representative at the meeting yesterday, conveniently scheduled at 2 p.m., so that picking up the kids from school or having to be at work provided you an easy excuse for not participating in your local government. Good job. That continues to be annoying to me. But Horn was there to give an update on the situation with trying to straighten out the books for the city of Macomb. Just stick around. We got some stuff to deal with when we come back on Super Talk, Mississippi, Pike County, 93.5. Keep it here.
Ladies, your health is your priority, and the Women's Health Center in Macomb is here to support you. We're thrilled to announce the return of Dr. Ann Vu. Dr. Vu joins our dedicated team, including Dr. Kevin Richardson, nurse practitioner Shayla Stanberry, and midwife Tara Givens. From routine checkups to specialized care, we offer comprehensive services tailored to your needs. Schedule your appointment today. Visit us at 1318 Harrison Avenue or call 601-684-2300. The Women's Health Center, where your well-being comes first.
Don't miss Dave in the morning, even when you miss it the first time. You can catch it on the podcast. Missing out would be a crime. SuperTalk 93.5 is always the place to be. Wanna get the podcast version? Here, my friend, is the key. SuperTalkPikeCounty.com. It's all there and it's all the rage. Spotify, Amazon or Apple are just right there on the page. Dave in the morning, late at night, or anytime you have to pray. SuperTalkPikeCounty.com. It's all there and it's all the rage. Spotify, Amazon or Apple, or just right there on the page.
Welcome back to Paradise City here on Super Talk, Mississippi, Pike County, 93.5. And that's where we're going to visit. And obviously it is a paradise because we have enormous stacks, giant buckets full of cash that we can just spread around all over the place. As an example, and we do this quite often, we're jumping out of order in yesterday's special call meeting to go to the very end because that's the big one to me. They went into executive session to discuss a personnel matter, and when they came back out, the mayor, as is required, announced the actions that were taken during the executive session. Sometimes he'll come out and say no action was taken, and then they move on to announcements. But if they did something, if they held a vote in executive session, they are required to come out and announce it and announce how the vote went. Buckle up.
There was one action item taken in executive session do want you to know that the board, at the motion of Selectman Cotting, second by Selectman Mullins, hired Mr. Charles Bell as the city administrator at a salary of $108,056.50.
Run that by me again, please.
At a salary of $108,056.50.
$108,000 a year for a city administrator.
Effective December the 1st.
With a term ending?
With a term ending June the 30th, 2026.
So basically it's for 7 months. He doesn't get $108,000 for the 7 months. That's the yearly salary, but he'll get 7 months of it until this term of the board ends, because this term ends June 30th. July 1st, new board takes over because next year is an election year in the city of Macomb. $108,000 a year. Now, maybe it's me. Maybe I'm just being a Captain Silly Pants. We have that money? Well, we're going to hear from Horn in a minute, and it's very clear we have no idea, but I'm sure we'll be able to pay for it because just a couple of years ago, September 12th, 2023, a little over 2 years ago, if you recall, the previous city administrator said this out loud in a public meeting in front of people.
There's a lot going on in Macomb, and everybody that lives here sees it. Revenue-wise, our revenue sales tax is up. It's not going down, it's going up. And we've gotten information that basically says every month our revenue sales tax has increased 50% from this same time last year.
Yeah. And that, of course, as you know, turned out to be completely true. That was a highly accurate thing. So we're just swimming in money, right? I mean, we got plenty of money to pay a new city administrator. $108,000 a year. Now, as you're sitting at your job right now, what do you think the percentage of people are in the city of Macomb that make $108,000 a year? That's an enormous salary. That's a lot of money. Well, Dave, you got to understand, if you want the very best, you got to pay for the very best. Really? Really? Let's call a meeting with the fire department and the police department and explain the huge raises they're about to get if that's the rule we're gonna follow. See the problem here? You can't put out notices that you're accepting applications for a fireman for $11 an hour and then announce that the new king of Macomb, the city administrator, is going to get $108,000 a year. Those two things don't go together. Well, that's all we have in the budget to pay for firemen and policemen and public works and everything. Oh, yes, but remember, if you want the best, you got to pay them like they're the best, right? Because that's going to be the argument for the city administrator. And I'm sorry, just because you work in City Hall does not make you better than anybody else in the city of Macomb. We either have rules for everyone or we quit pretending we're all about fairness. Because that doesn't seem remotely fair to me. That, and I don't know, I'll have to go look up what it was. I'll have to go find out. I'm pretty sure that's a decent little pay bump over what City Administrator Myers was getting. That's a good bit more money. Our priorities are out of whack. Have been for a while. The grunts, I'm sorry, that's the way they're looked at and treated. The people who actually do the work get shafted. Give them little dribs and drabs and just enough to survive as long as they go pick up a side job. But the people that come sweeping into City Hall with the grand vision and the ability to manage all of this, oh, we're going to pay them a lot of money. This is the financial branch of the rules for thee, but not for me mindset, if you ask me. And this actually is no commentary on Mr. Charles Bell. He may be worth it. I don't know. It doesn't matter. That's neither here nor there for this conversation. I don't care who they brought in. I wouldn't care who they hired to be the new city administrator. $108,000 in a city that just a couple of years ago, the mayor kept calling press conferences to explain that we were in a financial crunch. Then we get promises that sales tax revenues are up 50% year over year, which was a lie. The numbers over the last 2 years since he said that have proven beyond a shadow of a doubt that was not the truth. So we didn't have the revenue coming in they said we had coming in. We've had financial problems, one after another, in the city of Macomb, and we still don't know what's going on with the actual financial situation in Macomb because they're still desperately trying to dig out of the hole that we have put ourselves into with the books. So where in any of that is there justification to bump up the pay and pay someone over $100,000 for that position? Where? Taking all of that into account, and please don't try to explain, oh, well, that doesn't matter. See, you got to understand. No, I don't got to understand anything. You got to make me understand. We have completely gotten off track. It's not our job as taxpayers and citizens to sell ourselves on what you want to do. It's your job to sell it to us, and just blindly announcing it and blithely moving on with your life while we continue to watch the ruins of the city smolder? Yeah. Great move right before an election year. Just want to remind you, we're coming right up on that. Couple of months and we're off to the races with qualifying and everything else. That just seems like it's bad optics right before an election. What also doesn't help is the report yesterday afternoon from Horn. Horn, if you recall, a week or two ago, Select Woman Tabitha Felder Isaac, the Select Woman at Large, said that she would like Horn to come and give an update to the board, which, to be fair, is a good idea. I have no problem with that. We need to keep track of what's going on because some of the people that we've had working on this over the past 3.5 years didn't get anywhere. So we need to keep a finger on it and make sure things are actually progressing with Horn in here. Let's just, I'm not even going to say anything else yet. Let's just go to the audio.
Receive comments from Horn.
The music, by the way, they had the phone system up.
Good afternoon.
Ready to provide an update on the reconciliations of 2021 so that it can be audited. So I would say we're probably 98% of the way through with the bank reconciliations for 2021. So that's good news. That's probably the most time-consuming part of this process. So the next steps are to work with Gene back there on obtaining any support we can find for balance sheet accounts. That's things like accounts receivables, accounts payables, bonds, that kind of thing.
quick notification for the folks at City Hall. The phone has a volume on it. You can turn the music down. We're not riding the elevator up to Happy Land. They activate the phone system and have it so that members of the board who aren't there can call in and just be hooked right in. But as a result, you wind up, you can't hear half of what's going on. The representative from Horn said that they are 98% finished reconciling the books for 2021. Now, keep in mind, the way we name our various years, you use the second year because the financial year, the fiscal year, starts October 1st and runs through September 30th every year. So it encompasses two parts of 2 calendar years. You take the second of those years, and that's what you refer to. So when he says the 2021 year, we're talking about the year that started October 1st, 2020. Everything was still shut down in a lot of places because of the pandemic, and they're still not quite done with it yet. That was 5 years ago, and they're almost done. That is not an indictment of the job Horn is doing, by the way. That's an indictment of just how ridiculously messed up the books were at City Hall because, I'm sorry, they were incompetently handled at that point. So as we sit here in November of 2025, they're about to wrap up with the year that ended September 30th, 2021. That sounds an awful lot like we're still 4 years behind, because we just finished up a year, which is it went from October 1st, 2024 to September 30th, 2025. So that will be the 25 year. They're about to finish up the 21 year. 25 minus 21 is 4. We are 4 years behind still. 3.5 years after the new administration came in, and at the very first meeting, the very first thing, there was a vote, unanimous, that they wanted to get the book straightened out and everything caught up. At that point, they were 4 years behind on audits. And now, after 3.5 years of hard work, we're only 4 years behind on audits. Anyone else see a problem there? So we still don't know. Basically, for this entire administration, we have no idea about the financial situation on the books. And keep in mind, what Horn was announcing there was that they just about had the books reconciled, which means then they will turn them over to Booker Camper, who will begin the process of auditing that year. This isn't the audit they're talking about. It's just fixing the books. So we still got a ways to go. But yes, by all means, let's bring somebody in and pay them over $100,000 a year, because if there's one thing we've learned about the city of Macomb and the local government is that they make sound financial decisions. Let's go back to the audio.
I spoke with Mr. Love this morning at Booker CPA firm, so we're communicating with them. I know we have a deadline next week, so we're working really hard to try and meet that.
Okay.
Any questions or anything about this process or where we're at on it? Or
It is so important that Horn as well as Booker Camper understand the importance of meeting these deadlines, because we have a commitment with the state auditor.
You know who needed to understand the importance, if we're going to lecture and underline points? The person who's been mayor for 7 years. Maybe he should have understood the importance and pushed this a little harder before it got down to the end times. Last administration, Mayor Cordelia Lockley allowed us to go 4 years without an audit. And now 3.5 years after the next administration of Mayor Cordelia Lockley, we're still 4 audits behind. I don't think you're the one to sit there and get on your high horse on your throne and lecture about how important this is. You haven't acted like it was important. Now, if your response to that is, yes, but you got to understand it's a strong board, weak mayor, well then shut up. If you're not in control, quit play acting. Quit playing pretend. I've got to make sure you understand how important this is. Put a mirror in front of him when he says things like that.
And the only way we can meet that commitment is that you all meet your commitment. So, we need you all to complete and pass on to Booker Camper, for they can do what they need to do in order for we can meet that deadline that was set with the state auditor's office.
Before they come in and take all of our, well, not all of our, but a big chunk of our sales tax diversions every month. Because if you recall, that was not done away with. It was suspended. They paused it to see what we did. I'm just saying, it's kind of like the guy that went and set fire to the Depot Museum. If he then turned around and started wagging his finger at everyone saying, now fire safety is important. You've got to make sure you have proper systems in place in case there's a fire, and you got to get on that right now. Nobody's listening. You have presided over the city of Macomb going from being up to date on audits to the biggest financial mess we have ever seen in that city. The high ground is long gone here. You got to understand how important this is. Oh, I'm pretty sure just based on evidence, they understand better than you do. It's just a little bit ridiculous. Let's get a little more into the weeds with Horn here.
I did see Selectman Cotting hand.
First, I think the mayor covered 99% of what I was going to say was, were you aware of the deadline? You kind of spoke to that, and because I think that's a big important part that, we're not getting updates from y'all very often as board members, and so what we're hearing to make sure you're hearing the same thing.
Yeah.
Questions about the deadlines. Do you feel like they're too tight? Are there any barriers that you're having to meeting those?
No, everybody here has been super receptive, helping us get the information that we need as quickly as they possibly can. It can still be difficult because this is 5 years ago. So sometimes it can be hard to find information, and those instances we're working through.
Do you feel like the time is making you shortcut the process, or are you able to give I'll leave it at that.
It is a short deadline, but it's got to be done. We understand the importance of it. So,
is the tight deadline making you lower your level of work? No. That's what I mean to say.
No. When we set the deadline, we asked them what it would take, what was reasonable for them. And so they said 4 weeks, and we went with what they said. It wasn't dictated upon them. I'm sorry, Mary, for you not recognizing me. My bad. It's birthday blues. I'm sorry. That's what it is. Brain fog.
Just want to make sure.
Because we do have tight deadlines. We got to have some things done by the end of the year. It's November 11th. The end of the year is a month and a half away. And there's holidays in there. Nobody is working on Thanksgiving. Matter of fact, that's announced later on. The city hall will be closed 2 days for Thanksgiving, 2 days for Christmas. So that's 1 day short of a work week that you take out of that 6 weeks we've got left in the year. Now we're down to 5 weeks. To say the clock is ticking is an understatement, but the problem is this is a self-inflicted wound. If we had at any point in the last 3+ years, if we had went to Horn and explained the problem, we never would have gotten that letter from the state auditor's office. But Horn, unfortunately, is just very good at what they do, very knowledgeable and able to get results in a timely manner. And that's not the criteria we use to pick people to help us. I'm sorry. Argue with facts against that opinion. Where are we at? You just heard him say, we're having to go back 5 years. It's hard to get that information sometime. At your house, I want you to go back and pull your financial records, all of your receipts, all of your checks, all of your income from 5 years ago, from 2020, and lay it all out and get ready for an audit. Let me know how simple that is for you. Probably simpler than it is for the city of Macomb because, well, the chances are good you do a much better job managing your financial situation than the municipal government does. But that's the mess that they're having to sort through at Horn. Horn, by the way, was available for hire at any time over the last 7 years. They didn't just open. They've been going for a while, well respected. But again, effectiveness, timeliness, skill, knowledge, and ability, that's not what we've been using to decide who to hire to deal with this stuff. And we are now currently where that gets you. We miss these deadlines with the state auditor's office. We can say whatever we want. We can wag our finger all we want and explain the seriousness of the deadlines. Well, it's never bothered you before. I'm not sure why you think it's a big deal now. That's the response to that. One other quick thing from Horn's discussion with the board.
Selectman Thompson.
So have you even had any idea or anything about 2022?
Well, how the process works is we have to finish 2021 first.
I agree.
We're not going to wait for the audit to be done to start 2022. If they have any audit adjustments or anything like that, we can go back and account for that. So.
And again, that was an understanding that we had when we met with the state auditor's office, was that once they completed 21, they would automatically, they may take a day or two off, but they would automatically move into 22. Half day, okay. Move into 22.
Okay. So, what you would consider to be a legitimate question. But you can't start on 22 until you have finished 21, obviously, because the starting figures for 22 are based on the ending figures for 21. It's the same number, basically. So you have to finish that one before you can move on. 22, that year, by the way, starts October 1st, 2021, and goes to September 30th, 2022. So they have not worked their way up yet to get to October 1st, 2021, as we sit here on November 11th, 2025. When I say we are 4 years behind on audits, that is not an exaggeration. That's unacceptable. The state auditor was very clear about that. And all of this says to everyone basically, well, isn't this a giant mess? That's the only thing you can take from it. It remains a giant mess. $9,000 a month. He should be able to get us caught up in about 2 weeks for $108,000 a year when the new city administrator comes in. I mean, if you give acceptable pay, you expect exceptional results, right? You would think. We don't work that way, though, as you may have noticed. We continue on this Tuesday morning after this.
Dr. Patrick Daigle is now seeing patients at Mississippi Women's OBGYN. While his location has changed from the Women's Health Center, Dr. Daigle's commitment to exceptional care remains stronger than ever. You'll find the same trusted care now at a new location within the Southwest Health Network. Dr. Daigle and Dr. James Nobles providing comprehensive women's health services at Mississippi Women's OBGYN. Same trusted care, new location, 205 Marion Avenue in Macomb, or call 601-250-4275.
Don't miss Dave in the morning. Even when you miss it the first time, you can catch it on the podcast. Missing out would be a crime. SuperTalk 93.5 is always the place to be. Want to get the podcast version? Here, my friend, is the key. SuperTalk, PikeCounty.com. It's all there and it's all the rage. Spotify, Amazon, or Apple, just right there on the page. Dave in the morning, late at night, or anytime you have the crave. SuperTalk5County.com.
Dave Hughes here. Remember, every weekday morning at 9:06, it's Dave in the Morning, where we solve the problems of the world, or at least complain about them really loudly and sarcastically. And if you miss out, you can catch up with the podcast version of Dave in the Morning at SuperTalkPikeCounty.com. Welcome back. Super Talk, Mississippi, Pike County, 93.5. The whole thing with the audits, the previous city administrator who said sales tax diversions were up 50% year over year, because we get information all the time that basically says, you heard the audio, which was a load of bull. I'm going to look at the sales tax diversions here in just a moment from the Department of Revenue site. But in January of this year, then City Administrator David Myers was sent a letter from the state of Mississippi about the audits, and he didn't tell anybody. State auditor reached out in January. Nothing. So there was no response. So on May 12th, they sent, 5 months later, they sent the letter announcing we're shutting off the money faucet because you haven't gotten this straightened out. 5 months. We just sat there. So maybe the hope is if we pay the next one more, he'll, do a better job. Yeah. Let's look at that 50% increase. We haven't looked at this for a couple of months. Macomb, the September report, the last report that's out, we'll be getting one at the end of this week or start of next week. That will be for October. This is the September report. This report for September, City of Macomb received $549,912 and 2 cents. Last year for September received $547,446, so it's up $2,000. And as we all know, $2,000 is 50% of $540,000. So that holds up. For the year, by the way, we're down 13,000. In 2024, year to date through the September report, Macomb had received $1.616 million. This year it goes from 1.616 to 1.603 year to date. We're not moving in the proper direction. I say this because it comes back to, so we're handing out a raise for the top job. Okay, that's fine. And to be fair, a lot of this has to do with the economy. Magnolia is down a little bit in sales tax diversions. Summit down a little bit in sales tax diversions. Brookhaven, Brookhaven's up. 653,000 last year, 706,000 this year. Year to date, they went from 1.890 to 1.911. So they're up across the board in Brookhaven. However, that does nothing for us. Osyka's up, by the way. From 4,300 to 4,700. They're up. They're on the rise. I like it. Tylertown basically holding flat from 69,700 last year to 67,046 this year for the September report. So there are some overlying economic issues. That's why you may have heard the expression before, you make hay while the sun's shining. We, over the last 8 years, have done a very poor job of that. We have continued our slide. But on the bright side, I'm sure we're going to sell enough walk-around daiquiris in non-open cups that you can still mysteriously drink from. It's not an open container. You're just able to drink out of it. I am not really sure semantically the argument holds up, but okay. I'm sure we're going to sell enough of that and have enough drunk people walking through downtown at night to make up the difference, right? Right? That seems to be the plan. I don't think that's a good plan. But what I know, I'm only sitting here watching the things I've been warning you about for 10 years happen. You and I have talked about this many times. I've been telling you what was coming, how it was going to work, how things were going to go in the city of Macomb. And where are we? But I don't know nothing. You can't pay attention to those mean old things like numbers and books and audits and sales tax diversions. None of that means anything. You got to have your heart in the right place and do the right thing for reasons that have nothing to do with performance and results. That has been the operating procedure for quite a while in the city of Macomb now. Why do I say that? I would like to remind you once again, we have an election next year. Think hard about your decisions, about the choices you make. Because most, not all, we've had some good folks sitting around that table. We just haven't had enough of them. So, make your choices next year. When you go to the ballot box, we don't even know who's running. This is no endorsement of anybody or anything. We've only had one person really publicly throw their hat in the ring. Ward 5 Selectman Bruce Mullins has said he's running for mayor. We don't even have anybody to pull for one way or another. This is a generic statement from your old buddy Uncle Dave. think hard. Use the information you have. Use the last 8 years worth of data and numbers and results and decide if that's good enough or you want to go in a different direction. Totally your call. You could also just apply for a job at City Hall because that apparently pays really well.
If you cry for more,
and then you won't have to worry about it. Right? But that's okay. After 3.5 years of diligent work, we have gone from being 4 years behind on audits to now only 4 years behind on audits. Good job. Financial records, audits, bookkeeping, reconciliations, none of those qualify for participation trophies. You get it right or you get somebody else in. Right? Then you don't get to fuss and explain, well, I want you to understand how important it is to get this thing that we haven't done in 3.5 years finished quickly. We're so impressed. Final break. Let's close it down for this Tuesday next.
Tired of living with an overactive bladder? Constant trips to the restroom and sudden leaks don't have to disrupt your life. Axonics Therapy at Southwest Urology Clinic offers a long-term solution helping you regain control and confidence. This advanced FDA-approved treatment is safe, effective, and designed to fit your lifestyle, and best of all, it's right here close to home. Take the first step toward lasting relief. Call Southwest Urology Clinic at 601-250-4344 today to learn more about Axonics Therapy, because confidence starts with control.
Don't miss Dave in the morning. Even when you miss it the first time, you can catch it on the podcast. Missing out would be a crime. SuperTalk 93.5 is always the place to be. Wanna get the podcast version? Here, my friend, is the key. SuperTalkPikeCounty.com. It's all there and it's all the rage. Spotify, Amazon, or Apple, just right there on the page. Dave in the morning, late at night, or anytime you have the crave. SuperTalkPikeCounty.com.
Dave Hughes here. Remember, every weekday morning at 9:06, it's Dave in the Morning, where we solve the problems of the world, or at least complain about them really loudly and sarcastically. And if you miss out, you can catch up with the podcast version of Dave in the Morning at SuperTalkPikeCounty.com.
Closing time. Open all the doors and let you out into the world.
Once again, we have eaten up a solid hour. But that's okay. They'll give us another one tomorrow because they're not paying attention, obviously. 9:06 tomorrow morning. You and I shall reconvene and take care of the problems of the world together. My friend, I'll see you then.
SuperTalk Mississippi Media Production.